So we're eagerly waiting for this announcement. I'm hoping it's Blueprints. I think it's going to be Blueprints, but I could be mistaken. I've got my coffee and I'm ready to go. Actually, speaking of which, this is our own coffee merch. So if you want a coffee mug like this one, showing all the ways that you can prepare coffee, then do check the link below. Oh, we are starting. Let's go. Ooh.
Previously on Dragon Ball Z.
There might be one or two.
Don't let it be a troll.
If we have time, but, you know, that's it for the most part. So yeah, I just want to kind of set expectations here. This is a small update. There might be one or two more features added.
One or two more features. One or two more features. One or two more features.
One or two more features.
Don't do this.
Ooh, didn't see that one coming, did ya?
Hoping it's a blueprint
shits.
machine.
Hi everyone, welcome in. I'm Snoot. I'm one of the community managers for Coffee Stain Studios, and this week we teased something really juicy. If you haven't seen the teaser trailer we put out, then check the cards above, all right? It's a real quick video, so I recommend checking it out before continuing further with this one.
There are no cards above.
Because we're gonna talk about stuff about that. You know, in fact, you know what? I'll help you out. I'll hit that pause button for you real quick.
Balls.
Let's get into it. What is this
Such a
machine
troll.
we're seeing here? You know, what is its purpose? You know, what does it do? What materials will be needed to construct it? Will it blend? And how much does it weigh? So this machine is a designer that will
Sounds
aid
like
you
blueprints.
in creating blueprints.
Yes! Gah! Fantastic. Actually, not kidding.
Since the launch of the game, people have requested blueprints in one form or another. We've always been sort of hesitant to add this to the game because a big part of Satisfactory is that you are the one constructing
changes
all these
everything.
massive factory layouts from a first-person perspective. You know, it's all about the accomplishment of knowing that you've painstakingly put all the pieces together to create your factories. And while it may seem that
Genuinely.
making building bigger, easier adds a lot to the game, we also feel that it might take something out of it as well.
So I think Snut pretty much nails it on the head. There's people that don't want that, like blueprints in the game at all, and then there are some who really want it. And I think people are concerned that it's going more down the Factorio route. But I think as I've played the game more and more, and the bigger my factories get, the more I see us needing it. And I think at this stage, though I was against it initially, I do think we need this. This is a huge game changer, something that I think is actually going to change pretty much the way we look at the game entirely. And there are going to be some good things and bad things that come about that. And the great thing is, if you don't want to use blueprints, you don't have to. That's the wonderful thing about Satisfactory. You play it how you want to play it. It's a game at the end of the day. But to give us this opportunity is fantastic. I have lots of questions about this, and I also have some concerns about this and how this changes the game. But I think it's more important to kind of put them down on paper first and then actually do another video about this. So you can probably expect that within the next few days, because I think how much it's going to change is quite considerable. Also, can you hear that? That there is our very own music. So if you do want to listen to the chilled lo-fi music that we have while you're playing, do check the links below. Also, we are working on another project at the moment, so you might see some more music soon. And if you're a content creator, it's copyright free, so you can use it in your streams or your content yourself. Let's get back into it.
I think a lot of people in our community have very different opinions and ideas as to how blueprints would work in Satisfactory. From our point of view, this isn't like a quality of life feature. It really affects how you approach construction in the overall game. So in order to create a blueprint, you first need to design it in the Blueprint Designer, which is a standalone building that allows you to create custom factory designs with maximum dimensions of 32 by 32 by 32 meters. You will not be able to take an existing part of your factory and slap that into a blueprint.
So it's
They
both
need
4
to be
by 4
designed for
grid.
blueprint use beforehand. All right, so let's jump into the game and I'll show you sort of how the Blueprint Designer will function. Here is the Blueprint Designer. The model you see here, by the way, is not the same one that you're gonna see in game. This is a work in progress.
That's why it's different
So, yeah.
to
I also have like a little bit of fake power hooked up here just so I can sort of demo this stuff. Anyways, so let's create a blueprint, shall we? So I'm gonna make a manifold blueprint because we all love making manifolds, right? It's the best part of the game. So I'm gonna be making a iron rod manifold, pretty basic, and I'll just show you sort of how that will work. So let's start by placing a constructor, and essentially everything you place on this like grid here within the
is what's going to be copied.
The blueprint designer, you know, is going to be part of the blueprints. Cool. And then I'm gonna hook up some mergers.
Conveyor.
I have to take note of the direction here. This is really important. And same deal here. I want to make sure that the splitters and the mergers all face.
So it looks like it's not sticking to a grid.
And there we go. Cool. And then we'll hook these up to the constructor. One thing that I'm going to make for this manifold is I'm going to be using Mark V belts for all the other belts that are feeding through the manifold. This is so that this manifold can be extended, so I don't need to know like what the maximum speed of the belts are, or that I need to upgrade them if I make, you know, if I want to chain this manifold along, essentially.
That's a good shout.
Let's place down a couple of power poles because we do need power. Cool, and then we'll hook all of these up to each other. You don't have to care about like getting power into the blueprint at this stage. That's once you like apply it. So in the designer, you don't really care about that, but we do want to hook everything up within the blueprint. All right, so now everything is hooked up within the blueprint. Let's jump into the blueprint designer's interface and save it. So when you open the blueprint designer, it's going to look like this. It will show you the total cost of the entire blueprint as it is. If you have any like overclocking set on the constructors and you place like power thingies. If you do any overclocking within the blueprint and you use any power shards and like that, these will also show up in like within the cost of the blueprint and stuff like that. All right, so let's give it a name. I'm going to call it the Iron Rod Manifold. You can give it a description here. I'm going to type in a 2x4 constructor manifold making 120 per minute iron rods. Short and sweet. All right. I'm going to set an icon for this blueprint. I'm going to use this one. This is for in the build menu. You can also change the color of like this pattern behind it. I'm going to just leave it as it is. And lastly, you can set the directory where this blueprint will show up. And we'll get into that a bit later, but I'll just show you it real quick here because I do need to set it. So when you're in the build menu and you pick
move your cam,
you can sort of customize how that whole scheme shall look like.
That's
so here
nice.
I've got like a couple of tabs here for different categories. And within these, I also have like
so you can add your own category
that I can customize completely. I've already made a manifolds category here, but I do need to make a subcategory for that. So I'm going to edit this. I'm going to go to add subcategory. I'm going to call this subcategory iron because this is where I put all my iron related manifolds. And then this is where that blueprint will go. And then I'll apply up changes and then close this and then save the blueprint. There we go. So now my iron rod manifold making 100 iron rods per minute is saved to a blueprint. One thing I'm going to do here first is I'm going to place a bunch of foundation blocks here. It's good to like separate different blueprints between blueprints because then you can like sort of puzzle and combine them in different ways. So what I've done here is I have a blueprint for just the foundation grid. So I'm going to apply that, put that down here. Look at that. So we can quickly make a bunch of foundations.
That even improves zooping.
Really nice. And now let's apply the blueprint manifold that we just created. So I'm going to open here, go to manifolds. I got the iron rod manifold. You can also put these on the hotbar. So I'm going to do that, place that there, and then I can place this wherever I want. All right, so let's place the manifold. I think it's facing the right direction. And place this over here. And look at it go. Look at it go. I think the build effect is a bit too slow, but you get the point. Look at that. There's our manifold.
That's awesome.
Cool. And it was just one click away. So I'm gonna hook up some power
it's
to
so
it.
good.
Bam, all these constructors just booted up. I've got 2 storage containers here with ingots in them just for demo purposes. So I'm gonna feed those into the manifold.
Oh, what was that? Oh.
And just like that, you know, we've set up a manifold really quickly. And if you want,
I don't know if that's just dev
and change
stuff.
Another one. I'm just gonna press 5.
But that there's a new
make sure that the
stackable
belts are lined up.
conveyor
You
mount.
can hook all of these up and take the belts, hook those up, take these belts, hook them up, take these belts, hook them up. And we just went from 120 iron rods per minute to 240 iron rods per minute. Let's go back to the blueprint designer and make a couple of adjustments here.
I cannot
because, you know, in the blueprint
express
designer,
how
you
big a
can clear
change
here
this
and it will clear out
is.
and you can make another blueprint. But let's load that blueprint up again. The manifold, iron manifold. Here we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make an adjustment to this manifold. I'm going to create a iron plate manifold instead. And it's really simple to change this because all I really need to do now is go into each constructor here and change the recipe to iron plates. Copy and paste all those. So by just making this slight adjustment here, this is now producing 160 iron plates per minute. We can go back into the editing here and just replace this with iron plate.
And don't
manifold.
forget, it's not just
And then
one
making
plane. We
iron
can do this
plates.
vertically as
It's
well.
making 160 minutes. Change the icon to the plates. And just like that, we
Bob's your uncle.
changed this to the iron plate manifold. And we now have... wait. Okay, actually, I just realized what I did wrong. So I put the iron plate in the like undefined slot. So if I want to move this, all I need to do is go edit, and then move this into the.
I think he
manifolds.
just wanted to show
So
that.
now it shows up in the iron manifold.
That's
this
pretty
is in the
sweet.
Blueprint editor. So this is quite powerful. You know, you can create a lot of different types of modules and then mix them together to create like really awesome factory builds. If you have like any cosmetics that you want to utilize as well, if you have like some advanced like pillar, you know, setup that you have that you want to be able to like do over and over again, you can just create one in the Blueprint Designer and you just apply it everywhere. Since you are a bit limited with the Blueprint Designer, we are aware that like in certain cases it's kind of annoying to build stuff, and there's also one big caveat that I have to point out as well.
Ooh.
And that is that some of the buildings won't fit in the Blueprint Designer. One honorable mention is the coal generator because it is a bit too tall. It's a tall boy. We are going to look into some of these cases. The coal generator, for instance, is something we do want you to be able to use in the Blueprint Designer. We're not 100% sure what solution we'll do there, if we change the model or if we just change the bounding box for it or something like that to make it work within the Blueprint Designer. But just so you guys are aware of that, we do know that. But like, not every building is going to be able to be used in the Blueprint Designer, so just bear that in mind. So one really cool thing with blueprints
Possibly
is
not
that they are not
refineries.
persistent to your save file. So you're gonna be able to like use any blueprint on any save file, so long as you've unlocked like the cost that's within a blueprint. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to use it. And another cool thing is that we've separated so that blueprints are saved on files separate from your save file. And they're located here within the same directory as your save files.
So we're going to be able to
folder.
share blueprints
So
as
you're gonna
well.
be able to like take the blueprints that you created and just, you know, do whatever you want with them. Send them to your friend or keep them for yourself. Hide them.
That's
keep them secret.
fantastic.
One key thing to take note of though is that the blueprint files are not stored in the same directory as your save files, which means that they're not going to be part of like the cloud syncing thing that's going on Steam and Epic. So your save file are cloud syncs, but your blueprints are not. So that's really important to remember. So that is how blueprints are going to function in the game. If you hold the sprint button while using zip lines now, you can build up a lot more speed, which is fun. And that was all I had for you today. Hopefully this stirs some ideas in your head as to how you want to set up your blueprints.
Oh,
And
gosh.
if you're brave enough and can't wait to get your hands on this, you're going to be able to try this out next week when the update drops
Tuesday.
on the experimental branch.
15th.
If you want to learn more on how to access
Right.
the experimental branch, then check the description. I'll leave some instructions there. And do not forget
To back up your
damn
saves.
save files. Okay, I'm just going to say this once. Don't make me tap the sign, all right? Cool. All right. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, take care.
Okay, so there is a huge amount for us to talk about for this. Is it actually mind-boggling how much this is going to change the game on so many levels, because we're not just talking about the build, like the build system itself, but how that's going to affect how we play. I think these changes are incredible. So there are a couple of things that I just want to have a look at. The first one, when it comes to blueprints, it's absolutely incredible, but this is going to change the way in which we scale items, the importance of building scalable factories, how we want to implement modules within factories. It's going to change the approach to aesthetics for probably a lot of people as well. But going back to here, I certainly noticed it with the splitters. Okay, so here there is kind of a grid being used, but when he goes to the splitters, we also have a free build, which seems odd. I don't know if that's because he's holding down control, but my concern is that this isn't going to be on the same grid necessarily, like actually snapping to the grid. I don't think that's a huge problem. We just have to be aware of it. And also, if we look at the markings on the floor, we can see roughly where it's going to go. And I don't think we'll be able to do refineries if we can't do the coal generators. Now, I might be mistaken with that, but I feel that the refinery hitbox is on a very similar level as the coal generator. And maybe it's a touch smaller off the top of my head. But we're only going to be able to do one line at a time. Still a great improvement over what we currently have. Oh, do we... That's another thing. When Snut's building this, he could be doing it in like a creative build. But do we actually need the resources in order to build it? It might be that we do. I love that they've added a new tab for the blueprints as well. It's just going to make it so easy and so organized. And the fact that we can share the blueprints as well, you can expect that we'll be covering that at... Oh, and you can bind them. I totally missed that. That is so useful. But the fact that we can share them, it means that I'm going to be able to give you guys a little bit more to play around with as well. But I kind of need to bring all of my ideas together because there is so much to talk about. This changes the game quite considerably. And it's incredible how impactful this is going to be to anyone who's playing the game. And I think it's a fantastic addition that they've brought us. I definitely feel that it's needed. Originally, when we were starting with Satisfactory, we were building but not necessarily pushing the game to its limits. And now people tend to build much bigger. They're trying to, in some cases, break the game, certainly hitting the object limit. Now, the object limit you can increase. You can do that through copying a little bit of code into one of the files. There's an article on the wiki about that, and it's something that I've done in my game, but they're trying to optimize the game as much as possible for this, and they've been thinking about this long term. Here, just a quick stop. Oh, ignore this bug. Ah, they knew I was gonna quickly check that. I cannot get over this. This is so exciting because it's going to bring so much more like stuff for us to play around with, and also guides. I'm going to have so many more guides to do on this as well, which I think you guys will find beneficial. Anyway, guys, we are going to leave it there. I would love to hear your thoughts on the blueprint system in the comments below. I'd love to hear whether you think this is all around good, or whether you think that there may be some caveats to this, whether it's actually all good, or perhaps there are some bad things that may come from this. If so, let me know in the comments below. I say that because I think there might be a slight issue, not with how the blueprints work, but the effect that it has on the game as a whole. But we'll be talking about that probably in tomorrow's video. I'll do that tonight because I got some time to kill. And I think it's going to be really beneficial to us. But guys, we are going to leave it there. Special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters, most notably our solo clips patrons, James Irwin, Firefless, as well as our Lunas, The Calamity, Ben, and Star, as well as our Blood Moon of the Day, which today is Dashlom. And without them, I couldn't do this content. Until next time, guys, as always, ciao for now.